Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. So I am just out here enjoying the winter spring weather because winter time here feels like the spring, not even the fall in the US, on the East Coast anyways. But I wanted to talk about something very important due to the fact that I keep seeing, you know, many people basically fail and find themselves in a very, very difficult situation due to this same issue, which is the issue of being able to follow directions and listen. So I'm going to start with the fact that we come from a rebellious culture as Westerners. So the words follow, you know, obedience or servitude or submission, you know, outside of the notion of religion for Muslims or Salafiyin anyway, Westerners pretty much cringe at those ideas. But following actually has its benefits, and Allah knows that the human being is very, very rebellious by nature, and by being humble, being able to follow, being submissive in the religion, being submissive to your Lord, being submissive to the ruler, for Allah and His Messenger, of course, sake, then for Allah's sake, but you know, following the Prophet ﷺ, then that actually helps you in your everyday dealings when you need help. And what I mean by that is, like Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah, he mentioned about the soul and how if you don't train it to be obedient, then when you need it to be obedient, it won't obey you. And that's not just in religion, that's just with anything. And I'll give you an example. I have a child, one of my kids. I tell all of them this actually. When they were younger, I used to say, y'all are very, very hard-headed. You don't listen, you're extremely stubborn. Those are characteristics of kids, some children anyway. And it's gonna bite you it's gonna bite you later. When you get older, it's gonna be very difficult for you to listen. But that's a part of growth and development, which I understand. But I wanted to make them aware of the fact that by being disobedient, or being stubborn rather, not listening, then you're going to suffer the consequences later. And I have a kid who is now noticing that, trying to get a schedule together and trying to listen to herself. And she's noticing that she's like, why am I going, I make the intention to go in one direction and I can't do it. Like I'm like looking at myself like, why are you doing the opposite of what you just said? I said, you see, that's what I told you about. Now that you're trying to train your own self, you didn't practice listening just in simple things. We're not talking about major disobedience. We're talking about just simple things. You tell a kid to do something, they take their time. They don't do it. They lollygag, whatever the case may be. Then they find themselves, if they are conscious and they want to actually start to do something structural, then your soul won't listen to you. I said, look at it. Look at that. Let that be a lesson for you. When you need your soul to listen to you for your own good, it won't listen to you because you didn't train it to listen to others. So when you need yourself to listen to you, it won't. So likewise, that goes for adults as well. So as it relates to myself, I used to be, of course, rebellious, and I mean that loosely by rebellious. Like, many people have this trait. You don't want anyone to tell you anything, or if they tell you to do something or they give you certain instructions, you'll do it your way. And what I learned was, I was around 20, 21, 22. What I learned was, whenever I tried to do it my way, it always turned out incorrect. because it was people who were older than me, more experienced than me, that were giving me directions just on simple things, just on taking a certain path to a certain destination that we were supposed to be at a certain time. I would do the opposite. I would do it my way. Okay, I'm gonna take this path because I want to feel some type of independence. Like, no, I don't want anybody telling me anything. That's a very, very immature characteristic and trait that many adults carry into their adulthood, especially being from the West, because we're taught that basically listening or adhering is weakness, and once we are past adolescence or we're out of our parents' house, then we don't listen to anyone, probably except for our employers, because they handle our checks. Other than that, outside of that, no one tells us anything. I don't listen to nobody, and that is going to backfire. It does backfire, and it has been backfiring on many, especially when it comes to this Hijrah. People can't follow basic directions, vital directions, to help them establish themselves here. They do the opposite of what they're advised to do, because we can't use words like you have to, you must, because then they're gonna have an aversion to that. So you have to be careful the way you even instruct people, because they're going to put up a fight, basically. So but it's backfiring, unfortunately. Some people are becoming bankrupt. Some people are, you know, they're finding themselves in bad situations because they absolutely disregarded very important instructions vital to their stay here, finding themselves in a find, you know, and that's it. That's as far as I'm going to go. But they find themselves in very difficult situations, and ultimately back on the plane, home, bankrupt, starting from scratch. So the issue of being able to follow directions is extremely important. But yeah, at 22, I decided I'm going to listen. I'm going to start listening, you know, because it's not going to hurt me. Someone's giving me directions who knows more than me. Listen. And as soon as I started to do that, I put my pride to the side, or ego, or whatever. I put that to the side. For me, I just wanted to feel like, you know, I know as well. But that's ultimately ego. Then everything got better. Things started to go right, you know. It started to go right for me. Mashallah, and Allah allowed me to grow and learn and get better and get more wise in my decisions. I know how to take advice as well as give advice. I'm not beyond someone telling me what to do. It's called humbleness, you know, and it'll take you a long way. And we learn it first and foremost from the religion. We've been obligated to be humble, like Ahmed bin Hanbal rahimahullah said. Humbleness is an obligation on a Muslim. So yeah, I mean, you know, this is actually part one, because there was a few things that I wanted to touch on. But yeah, being rebellious comes from our culture. It's something that needs to be broken. You have to pay attention to it. If you yourself listens, then inshallah your children will listen as well. Especially for men, they're always in a position of dictation. So how do they ever train themselves to listen to anyone? Because they're the ones that's always telling other people to listen. So how do they gain these characteristics? And they're the ones who are, them. It's not just them, the women as well. They come over here and they're the ones finding themselves in bad situations because they couldn't listen. And it's not even nothing big. It's very simple instructions. You can't listen. Which is the downfall of many, sadly. So that's part one. I'll see you in part two.